Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The campaign that we are going to play is entitled The Shadow over Providence. It was written by John Hook, who is also our game master. He wrote this scenario for a recent convention, Necronomicon 2019, which we all attended a couple of months ago and had a blast. John Hook is an accomplished writer. He has done a lot of work with Goodman Games with the Age of Cthulhu series. Among his titles are The Timeless Sands of India, Starfall over the Plateau of Lang, The Lost Expedition, to name a few. He's also a contributing writer for the upcoming release of the Cthulhu Alphabet. John, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to play.
That's our pleasure. When did you first get involved in, RPG in general, but Call of Cthulhu mostly?
I was a kid, and the group of friends that I hung out with, we would all kind of buy different games so we could have a large library. And my good friend, it was a lot of fun. And my good friend Robert, he had the first edition box set of Call of Cthulhu. It was like a 1.5 inch thick box, right? And it was great.
Wow.
So great. He ran us through The Haunting. That was our first adventure. He took us through a bunch of his own home written scenarios. Very pulpy. We were kids. We were early teens. So it was still a lot of fun. And years later, I finally, after I had graduated high school and gone to the Army and gotten back, I got back into role-playing games, and I found the 5th edition of Call of Cthulhu, and I was like, oh, I remember this, and I just started diving in and just have been enjoying it quite a bit.
Yeah. So how did you get involved with like Chaosium and Goodman Games?
So I first got in with Chaosium because years ago in the 90s, when late 90s and early 2000s, Chaosium was running annual contests. They had their monograph line, and so they would run like an annual Halloween contest. And so I started writing short adventures to submit to that. And so I think my first scenario was accepted in a monograph called Dead Leaves Fall. And I forget. I think it was the lock-in, actually, is that scenario, which high schoolers spend the night. They have a lock-in at the library, and things don't go so well, but yeah, I started doing these short 5,000 8,000 word adventures, and submitting them in these contests, and I was fortunate enough that they were accepted, and that that only served to stoke my ego, and so I just kept writing more and more and more. And so I have several real short adventures that are in a few of the, I think, like 4 different monographs that Chaosium was doing back in those days. And about the same time, I became aware of the Age of Cthulhu line that was being published by Goodman Games. And I was lucky. I just kind of started picking up like right at the very beginning. So Goodman Games, they were numbering those adventures. So they were giving each of them a volume number. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I got in right at the beginning, and I thought, well, this will be fun. I'll start collecting these. And so I was collecting them as they would come out. And I finally thought, I wonder if I have what it takes to write one of these. So I just found an email address and just sent an email and pitched an idea, and it actually went to the president of Goodman Games, Joseph Goodman. And Joseph wrote back and said, "That's an interesting idea. Write another synopsis and send it to me, as a actual outline, and let me review that." And so I did that, and it was accepted, and that eventually became the Timeless Sands of India. So that was my first Age of Cthulhu book, and I actually did numbers 7, 8, 9, right? So I did 3 in a row, and by that, after I got the third one out, winds of change for Goodman Games and their business, which I completely understand. Their fantasy line, which they have their own uh, uh, game system that they built, the Dungeon Crawl Classics, and it is so much fun. It's incredibly popular, and so the company decided to focus more with that. So there wasn't much going on with the Age of Cthulhu, but by that point, I had been doing some writing with Oscar Rios and his Golden Goblin Press. I have a couple of short adventures with some of the different books that he's done. And then some Chaosium stuff as well, to include my latest adventure, which is the Shadow over Providence, which we'll play tonight.
Excellent. So we're trying to change a little bit of our focus, our sort of mission statement that Into the Darkness, to help improve the community of players and GMs. Do you have any advice or tips that you could give players or aspiring writers, for that matter?
Sure. It depends upon what your focus is going to be. If your focus is to write, it's the simplest advice that everyone tells you, which is you have to write. The hardest part is to sit down, stare at that blank piece of paper, and just start writing. But the thing that helps me is I love Notepad. It's a super simple little program, just Notepad, and I will use it. I've got it on my phone. I've got it, it's available on any computer I can go to. And if something comes up and it doesn't even have to be a fully fleshed out, complete idea. It could just be a germ, just a seed. And you're going, oh, I want to work on that. I want to, think about that. So I'll put a note in Notepad, and I will email it to myself, and I will start, getting a whole list of emails, from John Hook. I'm like, oh, I'm spamming myself. But they'll be filled with these little nuggets of thoughts. And then you take those nuggets, and then you start kind of piecing them together, and you go, oh, this is something. I have something here. And you just need to then take those ideas and put them to the paper and just start writing it out. And eventually, before you know it, you'll have 2,000 words, 3,000 words, 10,000 words. You'll have, a short adventure. You can keep adding to it. You'll have a long adventure, full book length. So
wow.
Just for writers, just keep writing and find a way to capture those different ideas, and then save them for yourself.
Yeah, that sounds.
And if you're going to be a game master, especially if you're a new game master, new for Call of Cthulhu, I would stick with short, small, one-shot adventures. Start working with that, and start building up a feel, get a sense for what it's like to have a mystery scenario, and let the players explore the mystery and interact with their environment, interact with the NPCs, and then start kind of dropping in the terrible things that start happening, and that help escalate the mystery. There's a great book that Chaosium put out called Doors to Darkness.
Yes,
and it is almost a must, I think, for new keepers, as we call the game masters in Call of Cthulhu,
Mhm.
because it's also filled with great keeper notes, tips and tricks
Mhm.
for the keepers. Sidebar notes for the keeper to kind of digest and go, "Oh, okay, I could do this in order to structure this scene at the table for my players."
Right.
So it's good advice stuff.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for these fascinating ideas and things that I feel myself that I'd really like to start to implement in my own work. Well, without any further delay, let's go ahead and begin our journey into the darkness. John?
All right. Welcome, gentlemen. It is 1928, and you are all visiting the Grand Milton Hotel in downtown Providence. So I'd like to go around the room and have each of you give a brief introduction on who you are and why you are currently staying at the Milton. I will note, unless you guys have coordinated your character creation so that you do know each other, it is not necessary that you know each other at the start. But if you've chosen to do that, that's also fine. There's no need for it ahead of time, or there's no penalty against or anything. So if we may, Stuart, if you would start, please.
Oh, certainly. I'm Stuart. I'll be playing Thurston Thursby the Third. Grew up in a well-to-do family. His parents, both new and old money, came together bringing newfound oil and the legacy of a retired rail baron into one. Searching out high society to mingle with brought them to Hollywood. Thurston Thursby III searched for purpose. Following in the footsteps of his uncle, he took up archaeology as a personal interest, but never professionally, as his working with the investment bank kept him busy. Now Thurston collects exquisite pieces of antiquity to add to his estate collection, and perhaps one day a museum. When Thurston heard of this exhibit at the Milton Hotel, he was intrigued and had to go. Stock trading would have to wait.
Very nice. Very nice. Jason.
Hi, I'm Jason Melnichuk, and tonight I'll be playing Barnabas Aldwin. Barnabas is 5'8", salt and pepper hair. He is an author of occult philosophy, and he is born in New York City, but he currently resides in Arkham, Massachusetts. He's into books. Any kind of obscure old text that he can get his hands on, he'll read. He's never seen without his rucksack filled with books, papers, journals, manuscripts, and he's staying at this beautiful hotel because he heard that he's meeting with a person who had some books for sale, and he wants to see if there's anything truly interesting in there. He's going to buy them regardless, but he's hoping that there's a hidden gem inside there. That's about all.
Nice. And Tom.
My character is Professor Darius Lasko. He's a rather prestigious lecturer from Princeton University to Brown University. His specialty is occult practices among primitive peoples. His focus is on Greek and Syriac cultures. He is a guest lecturer at Brown for the next month and a half. They offered to house him in a cramped room at the university, but he felt he would be much more comfortable staying at the downtown at the Milton. He's read extensively and studied, including a lot of books that may be considered forbidden by some, but in his experience, nothing that he has ever read in the occult or any kind of literature has ever shown him that there's any truth. He was born and raised a Greek Orthodox, but he doesn't really believe anything. He's a very much an agnostic. Maybe there's a God. His wife passed away, Gertrude, about 5 years ago, and he still visits her grave in order to keep her up on whatever's going on. He doesn't think she's there. He doesn't think she's listening, but it makes him feel better. And that's about it.
I like it. Dr. Darius, I see that you do have just a skosh of Cthulhu mythos already. Do you
Only
I
that
didn't
I
notice, do you have any spell knowledge, anything about that? No?
no,
Okay.
I don't believe any of that stuff.
And and that's another thing too. You're not a believer. Is that true?
No, not at all.
Okay, excellent. So you have not anything that you may have accumulated mythos wise has not impacted your sanity yet because you don't
No.
believe. All right, that's
Correct.
good. Excellent. So you guys have it's Saturday, August 25th, 1928. You have finished eating in the very nice dining restaurant down on the second floor, or the first floor, ground floor, and as guests of the Milton, you have complimentary tickets to the Kingdom of Fire exhibit. It is a Egyptian artifact exhibit. It's currently traveling throughout the United States, and so it is it's on display on the 17th floor or 18th floor of the Milton. So you have complimentary tickets. As it happens, you gentlemen have each completed your meals and you've taken the elevator up to the 18th floor, and as you step out of the elevator, there's a booth there, ticket tearer, and so he tears your tickets and accepts you into the grand ballroom, directs you to the right into the grand ballroom, where you can see there's lots of tables set up in there, and there's interesting artifacts. Some are just displayed on the table itself. There are a few that are kind of in these glass enclosures that are sitting on the table, but and the place is just packed with people. They've in order to control the lighting, they've drawn curtains over the windows, and so there's just very specific lighting going on to highlight the different setups of artifacts. And so you guys have basically kind of arrived, not necessarily all at the same time, but time's a little flexible here, a little bit elastic. So you guys are all basically here at roughly the same time. What would you like to do?
Before I'm giving you my ticket. Is it acceptable to take some pictures? I'm from I'm from New Jersey, but I don't know that there's going to be enough light in here. I didn't bring a flash, but is it possible?
Yes, sir. If you're able to take pictures, please feel free. Just watch for other people.
Yes, thank you very much. Good, yes. Excuse me. Are you Barnabas Aldwin?
Yes, I am. And you are?
I'm Professor Darius Lasko. I read your book. It was very, very interesting.
Thank you very much. Aren't you I'm blanking on the word. You do presentations at the college.
I'm lecturing. Yes, yes. I'm from Princeton normally, but yes, I'm expert in occult subcultures in various foreign countries.
I believe I saw you give a lecture at Miskatonic.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes. Yes, I've lectured there a number of times. A very beautiful university. So what do you think of this? Look at all of this.
I just got here myself, but it's fascinating. I can't wait to get in and actually see some of these artifacts.
I'm hoping they have canoptic jars. I find this very interesting. They put the body parts, the organs,
Absolutely.
and that they thought the brain was nothing, unimportant. Pulled it out through the nose, the hook. It's fascinating.
Gentlemen, isn't
Ah,
this fascinating?
yes, sir. Uh, my name is Professor Darius Lasco, and who might you be?
Oh, Thurston Thursby the Third.
Um,
Oh,
I
my pleasure.
I believe that I read an article concerning you in the newspaper. Um, oil and is it railroad?
Oh, that would be my parents. Yes,
Yes.
yes. We've recently moved to Hollywood, actually, and um, it's been drummed up in the local newspapers, and I think that's spread a bit. But I love archaeology. That's what brought me out here to this fantastic exhibit.
Oh, somebody with your financial background, you probably have your own collection. Yes.
A little one, a little one. I'm always eager to see what is out there. This is spectacular. I
Well,
can't wait. The Kingdom of Fire.
let's have a look. It's very fascinating. It's a lot of people.
Lots of people. It's very crowded in here. So you guys have met each other, and are you going to kind of stay together and explore the exhibit?
Well, we all seem to have an interest, so yeah, we can talk to one another at the same time.
Oh, that sounds good. Um, uh, Barnabas, give me a D10.
9.
So as you guys start kind of threading your way through, you may have been heading for one direction, but the throng of people kind of kind of steered the ship in another direction, and you come up to a table where this one does have, of course, all the tables are have black draping on them, kind of from tabletop to floor, and then on top of this table, this one does have a squared glass enclosure, and so inside that enclosure, there's a couple of it looks like a like a miniature set of little tiered stepping, tiered steps, and so then displayed so that they kind of look like they're tiered. You can see a bunch of different little figurines. They look like roughly humanoid kind of a design. And you can see that there's 7 of them in here, and they all look very very interesting. The artistry is amazing. You can see 3 of them according to the little placard that's there. These are called Shabati funeral figurines, and again, according to the little card that's there, 3 of them are made of clay. One is carved from turquoise. One is made of malachite. There's one of topaz, and also there's one of red jasper.
That's a very beautiful.
So they're all very very interesting.
I believe that the Egyptians, that these would serve as servants for the pharaohs in the other world. I believe,
I believe
sort of
so.
proxy. Quite beautiful. The malachite one is rather striking. Yes.
The
The
red
green.
jasper one kind of catches my eye.
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
Would Thurston, with his background in archaeology, have any greater insight into them, perhaps?
Absolutely. Why don't you give me an archaeology?
A 61 on a 61. Spot on.
Awesome. Yes. So you are aware that these the Shabbat funeral figurines were they were used as like they could be the little servants. They would kind of help in the transition of your soul from this plane to the next, and they would continue to serve you there. They could act like messengers, that kind of thing. And yeah, so these are very interesting. You do notice it's actually a little unusual. The one that is of red jasper, it has a line of hieroglyphs etched into it from basically just under the chin down to the feet. So this, so the entire torso and also where the legs, because they're not like action figures. The legs are fused and the arms are fused to the body. I mean, it's just basically, so it's like a rod almost. But the red jasper has a bunch of hieroglyphs etched on it that you don't normally the figurines aren't as uniquely decorated.
Very interesting.
Is there a description of what the hieroglyphs translate into?
There is not. The little placard there basically says what that they are Shabbat figurines and what they are each are constructed of, but there's no additional information.
Well, gentlemen, I know Latin, Arabic, Greek, and English, but I unfortunately don't know how to read hieroglyphs. Do you?
No. You speak Greek. Excellent.
Oh, yeah. I say something witty in Greek, too.
And I say something witty back.
I don't speak it, so I can't.
And Arabic. I do a lot of translation of Syrian texts.
Oh, you're also a polyglot.
Well, two or three. English, a little bit of French and German, but
so
I don't know hieroglyphs.
As you guys are kind of standing there admiring this, there's a kind of a squeaky voice kind of coming in from behind you guys, and you can feel someone kind of pushing on your back and kind of trying to move y'all out of the way a bit. And he goes, there's a press here. Can you make way? Just so I can get a picture. You don't mind, please? I'm trying to take a picture here. And so this little guy, kind of steps up, and he's got a fairly large Kodak, and he quickly lifts it up and pop, and there goes the flash bulb, and so he goes, all right, thanks guys, thanks. And so he's quickly just going right to it. He grabs that bulb and starts ditching it and moving on.
I was going to take pictures myself, but I've begun to wonder, maybe with some of our connections we can get in here during the daytime when there's not a crowd of people.
It just read my mind.
Get a better look at this stuff. But this is fascinating. That I look at the turquoise and the jasper and the others. These are things that we consider very valuable nowadays. Malachite maybe not so much, but in the time of the pharaohs, glass was by far the most expensive thing because the only source they had was fulgurites, where the lightning had struck the lightning, so it was glass from the gods. I'm sorry, I have all sorts of silly little things. Well, let's see what else we got. That figure is very strange.
Thurston, I like your thinking.
Thurston, you see a banner. There was a banner near the doorway, and it talks about how it advertises welcome to the Kingdom of Fire exhibition, and it talks about how the curator, Dr. Caitlin Bronson, will be giving a lecture, a brief lecture on the star piece in this exhibit, which is the Ibn Hotep canopic jar.
Hotep?
IBNHOTEP.
Oh,
Ibn Hotep.
Ibn is pleased. Hotep. Excellent.
Canoptic jar.
Yep,
Gentlemen.
Ibn Hotep canopic jar.
That is very much what I would like to see.
Me as well.
It sounds like there's only one, so I wonder which part of the body it contained. The heart, the I don't know what the other things would be. The liver,
The pineal gland.
Well, maybe
whatever they think was.
maybe just this jar is on display here. The others could be back.
Perhaps. No, that's true. That's true. She may have just brought one. And Ibn Hotep, I don't know which pharaoh that is. There are so many. I don't know which dynasty. Perhaps we can find her and chat with her before she does the lecture.
Well,
That would be really interesting.
Egyptian findings are fairly new. I mean, it's all the rage.
I don't have any idea what she looks like.
And it does talk about the Kingdom of Fire. You do know from pamphlets and things that you saw beforehand that the Kingdom of Fire is it's a general exhibit of artifacts collected from, I want to say, the 18th dynasty.
18th dynasty.
So this is an old kingdom. This would be middle or new.
I know very little about the Egyptian.
It is the, I need to double check that, but it's the same dynasty that King Tut was a part of.
Ah, so actually later one of the later dynasties. Tutankhamun.
I have that in here somewhere.
I will try
and zero in on that.
And I believe it was his father Amenhotep.
I believe so.
Ibn Hotep. I don't know that name. Akhenaten. He changed his name because he began to worship a single god instead of the multiple gods.
Oh, yes, the heretic king.
Yes, but he was on the right track, I guess, wasn't he? The evolution of religion, if you will.
Was that Amun, the sun god?
Aten.
Aten.
Yeah. It's all of the, in their culture, all of the beginning seeds for things like Judaism, Christianity, they're all sort of there. The idea that maybe, Ra was the supreme god above the other gods, but Ptah created the universe. It's very interesting stuff. Sorry.
So as you continue to move around the exhibit, someone give me another D10.
I got a 7.
You find you come across a table that is very interesting. It seems to have a nearly complete Senet, SENET, a Senet game board with pieces. So you find this wooden game board, and there are 10 Riverstone pawns. 5 of them are dark colored and 5 of them are light colored. And so the game board is set up as if it's in mid-game play. This does not have any extra protections. It's just there on the table.
Do you gentlemen like to play games?
I love games.
I know absolutely nothing about Senet, but now culturally you can see the way that it's laid out. It's probably a replacement game, very similar to games that you find in Africa and South America and others like it, which is very interesting that they have such similar games, but then it's all logic, right? It's all strategy and logic. I think the Asians, maybe the Chinese or Japanese, have one called Go. It
That
is
is correct.
it's fascinating. They just have it out. I'm
I mean,
is
we're all
somebody is somebody I
closer to
don't.
that. Hopefully, no swine are here.
Well, there's so many people that would make me nervous. Is there any like curator or guard or
Make a spot hidden roll.
no, I don't see anybody. It's too many people.
There's so many people.
I'd be I'd be worried that somebody would just, pick up a piece, take it home, say, meh, I've got a piece of ancient history.
Or even just the grease from their hands or water could ruin it. This needs to be protected.
Maybe it's just a reproduction.
That's what I was going to say.
What does the card say?
It does say that it is an authentic game of Senate.
My goodness. And I sort of look around. See, just for the experience, and I reach out.
It is 18th dynasty.
Okay. I just reach out, and with the tip of my finger, I just touch it. And I say, there, now I'm a part of history forever.
You can gain 5 luck for that.
Oh.
Increase your luck by 5.
Bum, 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 bum.
I think if the wrong person sees that, they'll make you history. Come, let's see.
Except that it's right here on the table. It's all insured. If somebody falls and crushes it, my God.
This should be farther back from the edge.
Yeah,
Is there a way? Is it on like a little slab or something modern?
It's just on the tablecloth, and it's centered on that table. These tables, because they're kind of freestanding, spectators can come from either side and approach the table. So it's centered in its area on the table, so it can be easily displayed.
I guess they know what they're doing.
Yes, I suppose there's going to be other exhibits like this here too. Maybe they just didn't have enough time to set up proper.
I've seen such things as this in other museums in other parts of the world. The Byzantine Museum in Athens, you could just walk up and touch anything, and I was kind of horrified. No protection for these artifacts. Of course, they wouldn't do that at the Louvre.
If this was in my collection, it would be properly taken care of.
Of course, yes. Well, let's see what else we can find.
Someone give me another D10.
All right.
I think that it is the Barnabas's.
3.
You find a table that is, it looks like it has craftsman's tools. You find flint knives and different stone tools. And there's an array of cards that talk about how they would have been used for meal preparations, for construction of certain household items, different things like that. But it's a collection of tools. Some are in okay condition. Some are clearly they're at the very last remnants. These again are not contained under glass. They're just kind of laid out and out for people to see.
I can understand this for some of the more the less quality pieces, but some of these nicer ones should be behind a barrier.
And as you guys are observing this table, again, the squeaky man with the large camera, he's on the other side of the table from you guys, and he just quickly raises the camera and pops that flash as he captures the items on this table, and as well as you now all have spots in your eyes.
Yeah. There is no need to be so rude. Just, tell us you're going to shoot a picture.
Sure, Mac, you got it.
What
And
newspaper do you work
he starts undoing the bulb and moves on.
Did we
It's
catch
rude people.
what news agency or reporting agency he's from, or does he have a press badge on?
You did see that he had a placard of some sort in his pocket that did say press, but you didn't see any of the specific credentials as far as what agency he may be from.
Okay.
A woman steps up and goes, "Oh my goodness, that man is well, he's just dreadfully annoying. Don't you think so yourself?"
Well,
Yeah.
indeed.
Second time he's got us tonight.
He's taking pictures, but I hope that he's not writing whatever article they're going to go with, because he doesn't seem to have any kind of sophistication or...
Oh, I agree. A droll of a man. And she fans herself too, as if she just can't believe that someone like that would be allowed in this fine establishment.
Oh, indeed. My name is Professor Darius Lasko. I'm a professor at Princeton.
Oh, pleased to make your acquaintance, Celia Shepherd. Have you heard of me?
Have I heard of her?
No.
Okay. I'm afraid I haven't, but are you somebody famous that I have not?
Well, I certainly hope to be. If you're a fan of the theater, you may have seen me. I've been trying to work my way out to Hollywood, and I know if I just apply myself, I can get into the motion picture business.
Oh, Mr. Thursby is from Hollywood.
What?
Oh,
Did I hear my name?
oh,
Oh.
sir, pleased to make your acquaintance. My name is Celia Shepherd.
Hey,
Very
Glenn.
nice to meet you.
Thurston.
And she has her almost just fingers out, daintily putting her hand out.
My pleasure. So you have an interest in Hollywood? I'm actually just came in from there.
Oh, that's absolutely fascinating. I'm so enthralled with the moving pictures.
Well, if you have time, here's my card.
Oh,
Later
well,
on.
thank you.
I'll be more than pleased if you are interested in meeting. I know a few people that are in the industry. If you'd like to, I could set up a meeting for you.
Would you do that? Would you really do that?
Well, I suppose.
Ah, well, I just do not know how to thank you. And she has slipped her arm through yours, and it's almost just kind of hanging on, and it's kind of snuggled up to you.
Well, my dear. So what brings you out here?
Why, I am just absolutely fascinated by history as well. This is an opportunity too good to pass up.
Are you here with anyone?
Why, I'm here with Thurston.
I can see that, but you came up here on a visit by yourself?
Well, it was rather forward of me, I know, but I do want to be in the picture business, so it takes a woman of courage. I truly believe that. I tell myself that every day. A woman of courage to become a movie star. You will see my name in lights. I know you will.
May I ask, you said that you are already an actress. Have you been on Broadway or in the local theater here, or?
Off Broadway. Fairly off, but still, I am an actress. Yes, thank you.
What productions have you been in? I do like the theater very much. I'm from New Jersey, so you see, I go to Broadway a lot. Perhaps there's something.
That's absolutely fascinating. I love New York theater. I have been in a few Shakespearean features. Did try out for the Shrew, did not quite make it, but there are many that I have been in the back and singing, and yeah, I've done some dancing, but I just know my name will be in lights.
Indeed, I believe that it will. You are certainly a very beautiful woman.
Oh yes, Professor, you do have quite a good go at the theaters there. You go to Broadway frequently, correct?
As often as I can. It's rather expensive. I mean, I'm very well off. My wife has
Wonderful.
passed away. I went much more when my wife was still alive, my Gertrude. But in the last 5 years, it's not quite. It doesn't quite have the same impact as it did back
That
then.
is as the professor is explaining this, I sort of spin around and have kind of usher Celia towards the professor.
Oh, but she is well locked onto your arm as she goes, the theater is amazing, but it's nothing compared to, and as she looks at you again, she drags one hand down your shirt and says, as Hollywood.
Oh dear. Well,
Thurston, please come. We must go and see. I believe the curator will be giving her speech here soon. We should absolutely be fascinated to listen to it.
I would not miss it. Gentlemen?
Indeed. We are all very interested. Yes, let's go.
She says, "Oh, wonderful! Come along, Thurston. Come along." And
Mr.
she's playfully pulling you along, Thurston.
Mr. Aldwin, are you currently working on another book?
Oh, absolutely. I'm always working on another book, doing research. It's hard to disseminate fact from fiction when you're dealing with something that's so old, but I mean, there's no true facts in this. So let's face it, it's all fiction. But
Well, we should get together over some coffee and discuss. I'm fascinated. I myself am, I guess you'd say, an agnostic. I don't really believe in anything. I hope that there is a God. I hope that someday I'll be reunited with my wife. I don't know that I will, but I do find all of the literature very fascinating. You could maybe show me some of the stuff you're working on. I'd be very, very interested.
This first chance we get, it's all, and I have a rucksack on my back, and it's all right here. Notes, everything.
You carry it around with you wherever you go.
It's not, I do say.
Inspiration hits.
I suppose.
It's not every book I wrote, it's my current book that I'm working on with notes and.
Well, let's go see this lecture. I was hoping to run across the woman walking around, but now that we'll see what she looks like, we can speak to her afterwards.
Yeah. So there's a table that seems to have been kind of set off by itself at one end of the ballroom, the grand ballroom, and you can see a young woman in her 30s in a very smartly dressed woman's suit, and she actually holds up a champagne glass and kind of begins to kind of lightly strike it with a fork, and so the tinging like a bell kind of goes through the room, and it catches everyone's attention. And so the woman sets it down, and she pulls a cloth that had been draped over something kind of large on the table behind her, and so she pulls this cloth off, and you see a single black canopic jar, and then next to the jar is like a little plate stand, like it's like a miniature easel, and then resting in that easel is a small stone tablet that has been it's got paint and writing on it, painted on writing on it, hieroglyphic imagery obviously. And so as the woman makes the reveal, she then and a hush has fallen over the crowd of people. And Thurston, Celia Shepherd is just almost bouncing with giddiness, and she's still holding onto your arm and just kind of bouncing, right? And so the woman at the table clears her throat and says, "Hello, and thank you all for coming. This is the Ibn Hotep canopic jar. This fascinating piece dates back to 1325 BC. Canopic jars are normally used to preserve the pharaoh's organs as he crosses over into the afterlife, but a special case was made for Ibn Hotep. Hieroglyphic records from that period tell us that he was an advisor and astrologist for the boy king Tutankhamun. According to those records, he attempted to use black magic to murder the king. The jar's accompanying tablet," and at that point she gestures over to the tablet that's next to it. The accompanying tablet states that his soul was trapped within this jar in order to prevent his entry into the afterlife as punishment for his wicked deeds. And then she kind of pauses, a dramatic pause as there's a oohs and ahs, kind of rolling through the crowd. And then at that moment, the lights go out, and you can hear Thurston. You hear Sue Shepherd next to you go, "Whoop!" and she gets spooked and she lets go of you. And just as the lights go out, and you guys have got like a second to go, oh my goodness, now it is after dinner time in August. And so the sun has already nearly set. There's maybe a little bit of twilight out there, but large, thick, heavy drapes had been pulled across all the windows in order to control the lighting in here. And suddenly, when all the lights went out with those black draperies over the windows, it is pitch black in here. So you guys have had you have like this 1 second heartbeat to kind of go, oh my goodness, what's going on? And then that thought is shattered as gunfire breaks out in the darkness, and now there's like strobing flashes of light of gunfire, and people start a stampede. So I need everyone to give me a dexterity test, please.
If possible, I want to try and grab Lasco's shoulder. Oh, I failed. 85.
I also failed.
I failed big time.
Okay. So with your failed dexterity tests, you guys are unable to push and move through the crowd, and you're actually being, bombarded in the crowd, and you can feel that if you're not careful, you could fall, and to be at the bottom of this stampede could be quite dangerous. What do you guys want to do? There's gunfire popping.
I'm going to try and make my way to the nearest flat surface, like the wall or the window, or so that the crowd is only on one side of me.
Okay.
And I can sort of hug against the wall so that I can push over or knocked down. And I'm going to try and grab the two people next to me, which would be Thurston and Barnabas, and say, quickly, we must get over to the side and keep your head down.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. Get to a wall, a solid wall.
Agreed.
So does the gunfire continue, or?
The gunfire is continuing. You guys can each make a spot hidden.
Stay down. Yes, I got a hard.
Okay.
Hard as well.
Failed.
So with the hard successes, you guys, you can see the gunfire. You had been intending to move towards a wall, and you can see that the gunfire seems to the multiple guns that are being fired. They seem to be at the walls. So if you want to move towards the walls, you're going to be actually moving towards the gunfire. But you also notice that instead of the flashes kind of, being like this,
Uh-huh.
they're actually more like
Shooting up
this.
to
Yeah,
cause a panic.
that's a reasonable conclusion. It certainly seems to be working. Now, because of your failed dexterity test, you guys are stuck in place, so you haven't been able to move and do anything at this moment. So with the with the new combat round, Professor, what is your intention with this new round? You were immobile that first round.
If jostling around in the dark with a bunch of people, I feel a hard surface like one of the tables, I'm going to immediately pull them down and try to get under the table.
Okay.
Some form of cover out from where the people are moving.
Okay. Barnabas?
Yeah, if Lasco's pushing me somewhere, I'll follow him. I've had two failed rolls. I'm starting to get a little panicky, so I'm just going with the closest thing to a friend right now.
Okay. Thurston?
Is Celia Shepherd next to me or completely gone?
She let go of your arm, and you don't know where she is right now.
So I briefly, I call out or shout out, Celia, are you here?
Okay. So I need Thurston to give me a spot hidden. Barnabas, because you mentioned that you've had a couple failed rolls, you're starting to get panicky. I want to have a power roll out of you. And then Professor Darius, you're attempting to flip that table.
Well, no, just get underneath it.
Oh, you want to get under the table. Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a dex roll to try and do that. Also, you guys, without needing rolls, y'all all hear some of these tables. They seem to be being knocked over. You're hearing glass shatter. You're hearing things, sounds like stone and stuff like that falling to the floor, like that thud of stone hitting floor.
Yeah, I failed.
Okay, so you're unable to get under the table at this time. Barnabas, how'd that power roll go?
57 out of 60.
Okay, you're keeping it together. You're not too bad. So beyond that, so you said you were gonna just kind of hang with the professor and follow his lead.
Correct.
Okay. You can then give me a dex roll as well to see if you can get under the table. And then Thurston, how did your spot hidden go?
An extreme success, 03.
Oh, fantastic. Barnabas?
06, extreme success.
Okay. Yeah, so you've gotten under the table, and you can tell that Professor Darius is right there, but he seems to be disoriented and doesn't know which way to go. Thurston, you turn and the strobing lights that are occurring from the gunfire provide just an instant of lighting that that your eye was able to successfully catch sight of something, and that something is you do see Sue. And she was standing. She had made her way over to Dr. Bronson, the woman who was giving the lecture. You guys weren't that far away, but she had stepped over towards Dr. Bronson, and in your 03 extreme success, you caught sight of Sue kind of stiff arming Dr. Bronson in the face, her other arm had snaked around the canopic jar. And so you just had this like almost like a lightning bolt from the gunfire created just that instant flash of light, and you have to be looking at the right place at the right time. I can't deny it with an 03, and so she's giving giving Dr. Bronson the Heisman. What do you want to do next?
Dear God, how close am I to her as opposed to Barnabas and the professor?
You're within arm's reach of Barnabas and the professor. Of course, Barnabas is, unbeknownst to you, I would think, is under the table, and Professor Darius is seeming to maybe start to hunch. But they are both, I would say, within arm's reach. But Celia Shepard and Dr. Caitlin Bronson are about 10 feet away, but that's easily covered. The stampede of people have mostly made it out of the place. There are still a few people, some people fell down, some people also hid under tables that hadn't been knocked over, or some people are hiding behind, on the downwind side of a knocked over table, so the table could force the crowd away from them, that kind of thing. So there are a few people still left behind, but I would say 90% of the people have been making for the exit, making for a stairwell to get out of here, right? I mean, you're on the 18th floor, and pop, 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 guns are going off. Okay. So yeah, it's you got a pretty fairly clear travel if you so desire.
So I yell out as I start to head towards Dr. Caitlin, or Dr. Bronson, who's being tackled by Celia Shepard. I yell out to Professor and Barnabas, Celia's tackling Dr. Bronson on the stage. And I head over as fast as I can safely can.
Thurston, don't get shot. Get down.
So I crouch. I go low in response to the professor's urgings, but I'm still going towards Dr. Caitlin Bronson.
Okay. Barnabas, what do you intend to do? You're under the table.
I plan on staying here for right now until I don't hear those gunshots.
Professor, what do you intend to do? Barnabas is under the table. Thurston is racing off.
I'm still trying to get down under the table.
Okay.
I momentarily got kind of pinned by the people against the table.
Yep. And so now that there are no more people around, getting under the table is not going to be an issue. So you are going to go under the table?
But yes, and I would say that from our point of view, we're looking right at Thurston moving away from us.
Right. Your view of the entire room really is going to be from hips down.
Right.
Hips down. Okay. So Barnabas and Professor Darius, they're under the table. Thurston, and again, bits of flashing light, but you're heading over in that direction. You can see the women were struggling. So at that moment, while it was dark, you hear the distinct, and it's almost, there is that sound. Your brain knows what it is, like when a vase has broken, right? You hear the distinct sound of pottery smashing, but you guys also hear a distinct voice go, holy mackerel, and suddenly there's a much larger pop of light as the press guy takes a picture. Okay. In that instant, you guys also hear an inhuman scream, and I need Thurston to make a SAN roll. So as Professor Darius and Barnabas, you guys are safe because you're You're under the table. You're nice and low. As that pop of light, that brilliant white light that almost seemed to almost kind of linger in the room, more so than the flashes of gunfire did. In that brilliant pop of white light, Thurston, you see this image. First, you see that Celia has fallen to the floor, and she seems to have a cut on her, so her head's bleeding a little bit. It's not gashing, right? It's not a throat cut. She's got a small cut on her head. But Dr. Caitlin Bronson, the curator of the museum, she's standing over Sue or Celia, over Celia Shepherd. She's standing over Celia, but Dr. Bronson seems to be in agony because there's this cloud, this sandy cloud that you saw in that image of popped white light. There's a sandy cloud in the sky, in the air above her, and that cloud seems to be like it's sort of like a sheet, almost kind of draped on Dr. Bronson's torso, and you can see what looks like moisture being pulled out of Dr. Bronson and flowing up into this cloud. And there's a weird, horrific face in the clouds, in that sandy cloud above her, kind of screaming up into the skyline, into the ceiling. And you saw all that in that pop of white light, and so that's what I need the sand roll for, please.
And I definitely failed it.
That's
way too much to spend luck on.
That is awesome. I love
that. That's awesome.
Okay, lose 2 sand. Yeah. So now you were chugging forward. Do you want to complete your action and get there? You may, if you so desire, or you could stop short.
Yeah. Does Dr. Bronson look like more than gone? Is she like
you only had that one image of flashing light, and Dr. Bronson looked like she was having the worst day of her life.
Okay, let's see, I was 10 feet away before. Now am I like 5 feet away, or?
Sure, you can be 5 or even closer if you so desire, or you could stop at 5 feet if that's what you want to.
I want to tackle her away, not tackle her to injure, but like to just pull her away and grab her. My intention is to grab her and pull her in the direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a brawling roll for that.
Brawling roll. And of course,
you know what? And because she's standing still, she's not resisting. You're going to get a bonus die on this. So give me a brawling roll with a bonus die.
Investment bankers are known for their great.
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. Of course.
There's a complete fail. And then let's see the bonus die. Oh, and there's even a worse fail. All right. So a bad fail and a horrific fail.
Okay. Even with this failure, it fails for a slightly different reason. So you do tackle her. You are able to kind of get her and try and pull her down to save her. But you kind of overshoot, and so you kind of slide. And as you land on the ground, all of you guys can hear more footsteps running. Like people are like, oh my shit, and now more people are running away. You also kind of note, you don't even really register it, but the gunfire has stopped. But Thurston, as you land and slide, you know, because you can feel it, with a certainty that Dr. Bronson's body has disintegrated as you tackled and slid with her.
Oh my
Give me another sand roll.
God. Oh, just failed. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I really failed because I lost 2 earlier. Yeah.
You are having a good night. Lose 2.
Oh, my God.
So yeah, you tackled her, and her
hell?
upper torso is just basically spread out like peanut butter.
Oh, God. Peanut butter. Ugh. Ugh. Dr. Bronson.
Yeah. So footsteps, run, and there's a quiet hush. Doctor or Professor Darius and Barnabas. Thurston ran, and you could see he tackled Dr. Bronson. You did also see momentarily the woman who had introduced herself as Celia Shepherd. She had fallen to the ground. She looked like she may have been hurt, only lightly, possibly. She might be, I don't know, unconscious or something. But you guys can go ahead and give me sand rolls as well. From your view of the waist down, Dr. Bronson, she was wearing like I think they call it a pencil skirt, so it's just below the knees. But from her legs, from the knees down, you saw them desiccating very quickly, and so sand rolls for that.
I rolled a 90.
I rolled an 8, and so that's 2 sand rolls.
Just one for you guys.
Okay, so I got an 8, so I passed.
Okay, you will lose 0, and Barnabas will lose 1. You're not getting the full effect. You just saw these weird legs, but then you did see, Thurston kind of leap, in the very shadowy because it was dark, but you kind of got that sense like he tackled her, but I don't know, he kind of slid further. I don't know, something weird's going on over there, but you can't really quite tell due to the darkness. So yeah.
I want to reach into, I freaked out, but I'm going to reach into my jacket pocket and take out some matches and strike a match.
Okay, you've got light. It's not a lot of light.
Well, after that, I want to go make sure I grab a journal, but that's only not something I'm written on, and rip out a couple pages and kind of light it just to get if there's a gunman looking at me, I'll put it out real quick. But
Yeah, especially, do we see any people in there that were firing the guns?
You do not see any people holding guns. Something scared them off.
oh wow, I just want to get my bearings. That's what I'm going for.
Okay, so you come out from under the table, and
What's all of this on the floor?
you can see just a thin sliver of light coming in from one of the drapes that isn't 100% closed. So just a sliver of that setting sunlight is out there.
Find the lights. I shall find them. I'll see if I can find the lights.
Okay, so you wander off to go and look for electric
Light
switches.
switches, yeah, something.
Okay,
Barnabas,
did I see the universal "I'm opening drapes" sign there? Yeah, so you can go over to the nearest window and pull aside the drapes, and the orange setting sunlight refracting off of some of the other buildings pours into this room, and you can see the little pipsqueak guy with the press pass. He's unconscious. He's fainted or something. He's on the floor. His camera's right next to him. Everybody else has, with 2 legs, they've run out of the room. To include the gunmen, they're ghosted, man. They're gone. And then over by the main table, you can see the canopic jar is smashed into at least 3 big pieces, but it seems empty, like there's nothing inside the canopic jar. You can see Celia Shepherd laying down on the ground there. She seems to have a small cut on her head, but she's also unconscious, laying there crumpled on the floor in a heap. But you also see Thurston as he's kind of getting up into a push-up position, and then kind of getting up into a seated position. And you can see what is remaining of Dr. Bronson, Dr. Caitlin Bronson. Her torso and legs are laying there, and they look quite desiccated. Her clothing, her very smart looking, very nice clothing, it's almost hanging on a skeleton, but her upper torso is smeared across like 3 feet of the flooring, and it's also portions of Dr. Caitlin, like her scalp and her hair and stuff. It's all over Thurston's chest and kind of sticking to him. He's got some of her hair on his face, on stuck to the side of his face, and just this sticky, sandy smear of Dr. Bronson's upper torso is all over the floor and all over Bronson, or all over Thurston. So now, Professor and Barnabas, please give me another sand roll. And yeah, Thurston, this is not good for you.
84. Fail.
Fail.
Barnabas. I love Thurston. Barnabas, you lose 2. And then
I'm going to also lose my lunch with seeing that.
Professor Darius. Oh, darn. Where did that die go? Well, that was crazy. I just threw a die across the room. I don't know where that went. You're going to lose 3, Professor Darius.
My God.
Go look for that later.
My God.
Thurston, yeah, you get all the bigger bits off of you. And so now you gentlemen are now in this room.
My God, what?
And I run again over to the side, and I can't even look at it. Oh, what the hell was that?
And the exhibit is this exhibit is an absolute wreck. There may be 1 or 2 tables that survived the stampede, but only because they were closer to the canopic jar table and people were running away from that direction. But any other table, all of the artifacts have been cast aside, knocked down. Any of the ones that had glass enclosures on top, I mean, they were literally just an open glass box that they set on top of the table. So that thing has been dumped over. So there's broken glass everywhere. I mean, this entire exhibit is chaos. It looks like a tornado has gone through this room.
Surely they have called the police by now. Thurston, you have some food.
Oh, thank you.
My God, what happened? We should stay and tell the police what we sort of saw in delight.
Did you see it? The thing hovering above
like
Dr. Bronson?
Like a cloud?
Yes. It was there, but not there. It wasn't solid, but it was sandy and swirling.
Do you think this was supposed to be a theft? I think that this woman here, who claims to be an actress, is in fact some sort of criminal. She looked like she was trying to steal the jar.
That's what I thought. And I think...
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Barnabas.
How did you see that in the pitch dark?
In the flashes.
There were flashes. And I saw brief flashing images of it.
Also, you can see the bullet holes in the ceiling where they were shooting. They weren't shooting at the people.
I'm going to walk over and see if that camera's sitting on the ground still.
It is. It is. And that guy, and as you walk over there, the little mousy guy who had been carrying it earlier, he kind of goes, also, Celia Shepherd goes,
I pick up the camera and I kind of tap him with my foot on the leg. Are you shot?
what? No. Oh my God. That was I've never seen anything like it.
And I just
Oh.
walk away from them and I walk back to them. I said, the evidence might be right here.
Well, perhaps, but
He'll run away with it to the newspaper to get his story. We need to know what happened here. I
Good
put it in my
call.
backpack.
Good move, Barnabas.
don't tell him. We'll have to get it developed. I'm very curious to see if the canoptic jar you said it broke into maybe three large pieces. How about the tablet? The little tablet, is it there?
It is there. The table that held the canopic jar, as well as its accompanying tablet, that table was not knocked over because the crowds were running in the other direction. So yeah, that tablet, and we would say it's probably 8.5 by 11, about the size of a booklet or whatever, and it's sitting cradled in that miniature easel.
I'm going to just okay. I'm looking at that, but I'm also going to look around at the disaster.
Okay.
And I hate to say it. Perhaps I should do a willpower roll, but maybe there's something I could pick up and stick in my pocket.
You have free reign. You may do whatever you would like.
First,
I passed my willpower, so I don't do it.
Did you say she attacked the speaker?
Yes, Celia tackled, did like a football tackle of Dr. Caitlin Bronson, and with the other arm tried to grab and tear the canopic jar away.
I take my tie off and I hand it to one of you. I said, maybe you should restrain her until the police arrive. I don't have the stomach for that.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree as well. Thurston goes over to Celia Shepherd as she's starting to come to, and
make sure there's no guns. Make sure that she does not have a gun.
does she appear to have any weapons amongst her on her?
Do you want to check her person?
I will do it.
Here, Professor.
You do not find a gun. She doesn't obviously have very many pockets, but you do find a pocket. There is something in that pocket, and as you pull it out, it's a billfold. It's a leather billfold, and as you open it up, it does have like an identification card on the inside that says Thurston Thursby the third.
She took your wallet.
Oh, I gave her. It's my card, or
it's your wallet.
Oh, my wallet.
It's your billfold.
Oh,
she's a goddamn thief.
She is.
She's a con man.
With no reservations, use the tie now to bind her quite well.
Let's see what else this woman has.
What do I remember from my Boy Scout days?
She also has cohorts, it would seem, who have fled the scene.
Thank you, Barnabas, for your tie.
Quite welcome.
Make sure she doesn't leave this building. No. By now, is anybody coming back in?
Yeah.
Hotel?
So time is elastic here, so we're gonna move forward a bit, and so now it's about half hour later. Everyone has awoken. Everyone has relocated to the lobby of the Milton, and as you guys may remember from your recent visit to Providence, this hotel, the lobby is very interesting because it's kind of open aired to both the first and second floors, and both of these floors are filled with people who are seated in different areas as the police are now, there's lots of uniformed officers, and there seems to be just one detective who's in a suit. And they're trying to contain the scene and get interviews of what's going on and everything. And there's a lot of chaos, going on here, because this the exhibit, the Kingdom of Fire exhibit, it's not the only thing that's happening,
Right.
at the hotel. I mean, there's lots of things going on. There happens to be a wedding reception in one of the smaller ballrooms, accessible on the second floor. And then in another smaller ballroom on the second floor, it's actually it's a meeting of the Society of Geological Studies, the SGA or SGS. So they're having their annual convention here. So there's a couple of things going on as well now, as the now closed exhibit from upstairs. And so, it's 30 minutes later. You guys are down here. A uniformed Barnabas, you have your tie back as a uniformed officer is with Miss Shepherd for the time being, of course. And
we made it very clear that she's a thief and that she had something to do with this, so that they know this.
Okay.
I also try to find the card I gave her of mine earlier and pull that back. I don't want her having any connection with me now.
It was in her brassiere. Do you want to get that from her?
Did I find it?
do you want to take it from her brassiere?
Heavens to Betsy. I would have
to... Oh, for Christ's sake. Here, I'll take it for... Put that in your pocket.
You got the card back.
She's a thief, and I want her arrested, and her cohorts got away. And she destroyed all of this beautiful antiquity stuff.
Yeah, so the time has passed, and so now what is his name? The Inspector Benjamin Drummond. Inspector Drummond is basically he's clearly the one in charge. He's the one that's in the plain clothes, and everybody, all the other police officers are uniformed officers. And so Drummond looks like he's well, everyone can give me a psychology.
35 on 35.
So one success.
Yeah.
Barnabas, you assess as you're looking at Drummond in the 30 minutes that you guys have been down here with the authorities. He is exhibiting classic telltale signs of stress. Clearly, this guy is he seems to be on his last nerve right now. So he seems to just kind of have a shortness to his temper, and just doesn't seem to be very receptive to people right now.
He's way over his head, I tell to my fellows.
Yeah, pretty good assessment. Pretty good assessment.
It could be that he has other things. Maybe he's going through difficulties in his life or something.
So, go ahead.
That's it.
I'd offer to buy him a drink, but wouldn't look too good at this time.
We're still under prohibition,
exactly.
So Yes. So yeah, Inspector Drummond is going through. You can see that he's been he's got a notepad and he's been conducting interviews and stuff, and different people keep coming up to him. Different officers and sometimes hotel staff will come up to him and talk to him, and he's like, yeah. All right. So he's just trying to control what information he's receiving at any one moment. And so then he finally, this one uniformed officer is kind of standing near him, and he finally kind of gets a chance to talk to the inspector, and so you can hear the inspector go, "Fine, all right, let's get this part over with then." And so he follows that uniformed officer back over to where you guys are standing. There's another uniform with Miss Shepard seated next to him, and she is handcuffed. And so the uniformed officer indicates you guys and says, "Yes, Inspector, these are the gentlemen that are making the accusation about this young lady here." And at that moment, she pops up and says, she just looks up, and says, "It's all lies. They're all lies. I don't know why they're doing this to me.
Her
I
voice
was
has
just
changed.
trying to
Yes.
run for my life. I don't know what they're doing. They're the criminals."
Yeah. Officer, she is a how do you say, a confidence woman. She pretended to be an actress. She called herself Celia Shepard, and Mr. Thurston Thursby here, who is a man of irreproachable integrity.
Yeah, I'll make my own decisions on whose integrity is reproachable or not.
We saw her attack
Go ahead.
We saw her attack the Egyptologist woman. We believe, we do not know, but it seemed like she had orchestrated this to cause a panic so that she could steal something from the collection of Egyptian artifacts.
Okay, and give me your statement again. What exactly did you see?
Now,
Well,
I have a question for the GM. Prior to us conversing with the detective, I would have asked the other party members if we're going to turn over the camera to the police, or are we keeping that for ourselves?
You guys can, out of character, you guys can decide that now.
Right, because I don't want to say here.
No, I totally get it. That's a good point, and you've had time to discuss it. So you guys take a moment. What do you want to do with that bit of evidence?
Technically, we should turn it over to the police,
Technically, we should all pay our taxes, but what do you think we should do?
Each of you can make an idea roll.
Oh, jeez.
36 out of
kind of hard.
70. Yeah, hard.
So one of the things that you remember seeing earlier in the evening didn't send any red flags up. It was just background information, but now it might be pertinent to know, or that you think about it, is that this hotel is a fully, lots of features, lots of amenities in this particular hotel, to include, they have a staff photographer, so a photographer on staff with a dark room on site. And you do know from some signage that you saw outside of the ballroom where the wedding reception is currently occurring, that the staff hotel photographer is working in the wedding reception at this moment. So you have that kind of extra info. If that does or does not influence your information or your decision making, you do have that extra information as you have this conversation and decision making on the on what to do with the camera.
So, gents, I say we hold on to it, and if the photograph does show her assaulting her, we could turn that into the police later.
Well, you know, you could get in trouble for withholding evidence at the
We
time.
didn't know it was on
But
there.
look. I am not necessarily a little saint. Um, I am very curious as to what's going on as well. If you would like to, we could always say that the pictures were on my camera, and I'd completely forgot about them.
Exactly.
Agreed. Let
We
us
just
keep the camera.
remembered. So back to the officer, where he was saying, "I'll be the judge of that."
Yes. So Inspector Drummond is like, I'll be the judge of whose reputations are reproachable or not. But
Well, look,
what did you see up there? What's your statement? What's your official statement? What do you want to go on record as?
well, to be perfectly honest, I was under the table most of the time, but I saw the gunfire. I saw it directed at the ceiling, not at the crowd. I saw Miss Celia, whoever she is, um, move towards Miss uh, Bronson.
Were
And,
you under the table at this time?
well, yes, it was gunfire. Yes,
So
we could see by the
okay.
flashing of the lights when the guns went off, and then that it was difficult. But I tell you what we saw and what we believe. She also she's a thief. We know that she's a thief.
I saw her. Officer or
Detective
Inspector, if you would, please.
Inspector Drummond, Thurston Thursby III of Morgan Stanley. I saw her, Celia Shepherd, or so the one who went by that name, tackle the Dr. Caitlin Bronson, who was giving the seminar, who had the pieces of antiquity up there. So Celia lunged at her, at the doctor, tackling her, and attempted the stealing, the robbery of the jar.
Yes, he was not under the table with us.
As I saw Dr. Caitlin Bronson be assaulted, I went to try to help her. I saw this right in front of me.
And I heard Caitlin scream out in pain or fear.
It appears, I'm not certain, but it appears that the canopic jar, upon maybe being broken or released some sort of salt acid or some pieces of antiquity sometimes have booby traps or what have you in it. And it looks like it horrifically injured her to this capacity.
And is this so? Why clearly you assaulted Dr. Bronson? Why didn't the salt acid destroy your clothing or destroy your flesh?
We don't know. We
Yeah.
don't know what it is that this con woman did, but Thurston said that he saw her. Didn't you say he pressed her up against the wall?
Yes. Hold on, Mr. Alden. What did you see?
I was under the table, but I heard Thursby say that the grifter was attacking Mrs. What's her name? I'm sorry.
Dr. Bronson.
Dr. Bronson. And he said he moved to help her, stop the attack. Then I heard the woman scream, and that's all. But then after the lights went back on, we found Mr. Thursby's wallet in the possession of Celia.
She had pickpocketed him.
And
Hmm.
she was all over him prior to that. Oh, I heard you're from Hollywood and yada yada, putting her arms around him, trying to give him hugs.
And her voice changed.
S- Sizing me up to rob me and later commit this crime as well.
And then Celia barks in. She goes, "They're all lying. I did nothing like that. They're the criminals. Look at him. He's got that lady all smeared all over his clothes. He's the murderer. I'm just an innocent bystander. Let me go." All right. Good accounts. Is there any information about the monster or anything else that that you want to say, or are you keeping that low? And
Yeah,
I
we
heard
don't
nothing about the camera. Is that right?
we don't
No.
want to get locked up in the nut house.
But I will say, Inspector Drummond, sorry for my forwardness, but you have a respected professor, a person of money and industry, and author of multiple books, and a grifter. I, I, I mean, obviously, the justice system needs to work through the case and the facts, but three upstanding citizens coming to an event for historical research, or a woman who's a supposed actor, when you find out her real name probably and run her rap sheet, I bet you it's a mile long.
Uh, Drummond seems swayed by Barnabas's very Occam's razor kind of explanation, and so he sits there and ponders for a moment, and he looks at the officer who's sitting or who's next to Celia, and he says, "Take her downtown." And then he turns to the other uniformed guy who was with him, and Inspector Drummond's rubbing his forehead, and he's like, "Listen, I want you to hold down the fort, and I need you to, check out that Dr. Bronson's hotel room, and then don't let any of these people leave. I want them to all stay. They can go back to their rooms, but secure the perimeter to the best of your ability, and take care of this. I'm gonna follow the corpse down to the morgue and see if I can get anything out of the ME. But I'm gonna leave you in charge here. And the uniform guy, you guys can all make psychology rolls if you'd like.
Yeah, no.
I failed that one.
Nope.
He just kind of goes, "Oh, okay, sir. Yeah, all right." And with that, uh, 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 Drummond lights a cigarette and is talking to himself, grumbling as he walks away in a cloud of blue smoke.
Well, what an evening we have had, gentlemen.
Let's discuss this. Let's.
All right, let's go upstairs so that Thurston can clean up.
Me too. I have vomit on me.
Exactly.
And then you guys can all make listen rolls.
Oh, yes. Wait, how well? I got 14. That's hard.
Okay. Anybody else?
Fail. No, fail.
Okay. Professor, you do overhear the uniform guy who's in charge now. He calls over one of his buddies and he says, "Hey, the inspector wants us to go check out or send someone up. If you've got anybody free, send someone up to go check out that Dr. Bronson's room. Yeah, 817. So we got to do that and get some info to him. I don't know, as soon as you can. But we got to try and get this crowd control done first."
All right. So when we get into the elevator, if we're in there by ourselves, I'll say, so I could overhear them saying that the Dr. Brunson was in room 817. They're going to send somebody up to look through her stuff, so I'm afraid they'll get to it before we will. I certainly wouldn't want to be caught in the room when the police show up to look through it. But what do you think?
Well, is there one elevator bank to the 8th floor?
I'll say there's 2.
There's 2. Interesting.
Let's just walk by the room.
Yeah.
Maybe the door is broken open.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe a couple of us could check that out while the other one of us make sure that the 2 elevators are always going to the top floor.
I like the way you think. You're a very devious man, Mr. Thursby. It's very good. Yes, you can hit all of the buttons.
Sounds good.
That'll give us like under 10 minutes, but a quick 10 minutes should do well.
Yeah. So 817 it is. My room's on 1407, I think.
14. Yeah, there's no 13th floor here.
There isn't.
Well, it really is, but you know, this is an old superstition. I can tell you all the details of the superstition, but for now, let's. And we need to get the photography done.
Absolutely. I say right after we do this, let's not even wash up. Let's go and drop it off, see if you could develop it, then go get washed up.
Yeah, let's not wash up. Thurston, you can have parts of Caitlin all over you. It's fine.
I think we should at least freshen.
You should get that hair out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking we could just give it to him because it takes time to develop the film, then go.
He's got the fingernail in his beard.
I'll take my jacket off and grab a towel from one of the maids' carts in the hallway just to kind of.
Well, first let's check the room.
Exactly, on the way to the room.
All right. So you engineer with the adolescent pressing of all the buttons. So you engineer it so that the elevators are going to start making their ascent, their slow ascent. Okay. Yeah. So you guys are happen to be the only people in the hall on the 8th floor. There's room 817.
All right. Let's pause for just one moment. Looks like, Stuart, your green screen is acting funny again.
All right, just 1 second. I think whenever there is a large amount of white, let me do this.
Well, it looks like you have the other thing going.
What other thing? How can I
go to?
Is the green screen moving? Is it? Do you have a fan or something that might be moving it?
No, I think I know what it is. Go to choose a virtual background.
Okay, I'm there.
Okay, and at the bottom, does it say I have a green screen checked?
Yes, it does.
It does.
Should I here? I'll uncheck it, and then check it again. No.
Where is your light positioned? Is it on the opposite side? That's
the what position?
The light.
Oh, the light. The light is up to the right of me, and also to the right of the. It's not centered forward.
Okay.
Should I try killing the light?
Is there a light on the green screen separately?
No, there's no light on the green screen separately.
Oh.
I can try. Want me to try putting the lamp on the desk on and then turn the big light on the ceiling off?
Try it.
All right, 1 second. Terribly sorry about this, guys.
No problem.
Okay. Fantastic.
I do love y'all's green screens. This is so awesome. I forget, Barnabas, Jason, the way you're seated and the perspective from yours, it really looks like you're in that room. I forget that it's not. That's not real.
Cool.
Oh, that's blindingly white on your face.
Yeah, that's really white.
You're like a ghost.
And it's too early for you to be a ghost. Let's wait just a little longer.
Is that a little bit better?
No, I think it's worse, don't you? I mean, the background's better, but your face is just white.
You're washed out.
You try this. Okay, there's that.
Now there's a weird
It's the
flowing
shadow.
shadow behind you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Here. I'll try just the top light now. Let's see that one.
Now, your green screen is placed right against the wall, right?
It is. There we go. Oh, see, yeah. Okay, I got to get a better light forward.
You need a light behind you. That's like I've got a light
Okay.
back here.
See,
So
I backlight my green screen.
Right.
I get that little flare sometimes right here also.
That'll get cut out though.
Got it. So is this is quasi-stable, it looks like.
Yeah, that's okay.
So if it's okay, we can finish this tonight, and then I'll work on getting a light behind the green screen and a light in front of me.
Right. And the light in front of you can be kind of light. It doesn't have to be a bright light.
Like a soft light, like a.
You see the shadow, the shade part of your face is perfectly lit.
Excellent.
All
Okie
right.
dokie.
All right, let's go on from there. We don't need to do anything. I made note of. Okay. All right. So we're about to open up the door.
See if it's open. See if it's unlocked.
Yeah. Let's see if the door is unlocked.
Door's locked.
Do any of you have lock picking skills? Where is Celia now when you need her? So it wasn't broken into. We know that. It will be broken into if we break into it.
Yeah.
We have a good 5 minutes if we're lucky.
Yeah, but we'll be changing the whole. Then they'll think that somebody broke into her room.
How about we go to the closest maid's cart who has the keys for the rooms, and one of us can, the most charming of us, can distract them.
Well, we can try, but it's after dinner. Do you think the maids work during? They work usually in the daytime.
And that'll place us at the scene. I don't think that.
Good.
I think that we have to forego this. I want to go in there, but
Maybe we go in after them, and
Agreed.
they're a bunch of beat cops. Maybe they'll overlook something, or they might not notice something that's actually relevant.
they might leave everything here and, just put up, do not go inside, but we can go inside. All right, we better get out of here. They should be here
Good idea.
any minute. We'll have to go up the stairs.
Yeah, let's do the stairs a couple floors, and then we'll jump over the elevator.
The elevator will be another 15 minutes before it shows up. All right. So we're going to go up to what? 9th floor, 10th floor, 10th floor.
Okay, you're on the 10th floor.
So our rooms are 14.
I'm 1407. I don't know where you are.
Actually,
I'm on the 14th floor, 1403, I believe.
What?
That's funny. I'm 1434.
My goodness. What are the chances that we're all on the same floor? Maybe there is a God. All right. Did you see that creepy thing in the window for, I think it's for some sort of festival they're having dance.
Some
Strange looking thing. Yeah, it looked like some sort of demon thing.
Yeah.
Like Day of the Dead, but bizarre. Scared me when I saw it. All right. Let's go back to, let's go to Thurston's room. I'd like to see what Thurston Thursby III has as a room.
Certainly.
14th floor.
It's lovely. It's nothing much.
Probably a grand suite.
Yes, he has a grand suite on this floor. It has 2 rooms plus a separate washroom, and yeah, it's very well appointed.
So now we're going to, maybe, why don't you clean up? We can run down and take this to the photographer.
Oh, splendid idea. I'll throw on a set of clothes and I'll meet up with you in 10.
All right. Well, we'll come back up.
Oh, excellent.
All right. Let's go see the photographer and see if we can tell him that we have sort of an emergency.
All right. So you go down and you can see that the wedding reception is still ongoing. And there was like a little advertisement, for the guests, they can have some special memories captured by hotel photographer Florence Bishop.
Why don't we? I can see he's probably in there taking pictures.
Yes, she is.
She is Florence Bishop. Perhaps we can find a moment to ask her if it's possible for her to develop some pictures for us immediately afterwards.
Considering the sensitive nature of this, we should ask her, have a little conversation, ask her what they pay her here weekly and match her weekly salary for, discussion.
Well, let's not start spending money if we don't need to. Let's just ask her, and if we have to increase, I'm sure that Mr. Thursby can cover any kind of expense, but we don't want to cost him anything extra. It's not even our photographs. We're just curious.
Exactly why. I was trying to get discussion.
Well, no, I think that you're right, but let's not cross that bridge until we need to. This might be some rather horrible photograph. I think maybe we should bring her into the conspiracy a little bit. Tell her what happened. We could give her photo if we published them in the newspaper. We could give her photographic, development credit or whatever.
Sounds good to me.
Should we go in and like ask her maybe in a moment when she's not taking a photograph?
Yeah, we'll catch her when she's in between or changing a bulb.
Well, you look better dressed than I do. Why don't you? Today's Saturday. I don't like dress up on Saturday when I don't have any classes. So, I'll wait here. I don't want to interrupt the wedding.
If I could locate Florence.
Okay. Yeah, you do see a photography station, like a little photo booth area. So she's got a camera on a tripod. There's a couple of like high top bar stools and a background that's drapery and all kinds of stuff to make it look really nice. And so it looks like guests can come up. Probably it'll hold maybe up to 4 or 5, maybe up to 6 in the frame, and then she'll take a picture and then they move on. And so Miss Bishop is sitting over there right now, just kind of enjoying the band that's playing. People are dancing. There's a smattering of tables. The lights are fairly low in here, and so there's a live band going on. People are dancing and having a good time, but none of the reception guests are taking part of the photo booth at this moment.
So I'll step up and I beg your pardon, Miss Bishop.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Barnabas Aldwin, and you are the photographer for the hotel.
And she looks at her setup, and then she looks at you and goes, "Yes."
Well, I'm a guest at the hotel, and I see you're very busy, but is there any way you could develop some film for me this evening?
Oh, this evening. I don't know. As you noted, I am fairly busy here. So, um, why the rush? Is this have something to do with the hullabaloo that was going on earlier?
And I look around like to make sure nobody's listening. I'm like, it sort of does, and it could be very important. It could be nothing. That's why we need to kind of. I mean, we'll give you full credit on helping out with us, and well, I think we could make it worth your while also.
Well, I am intrigued. Do you have any interpersonal skills, charm, um,
I have.
persuade?
What a strange thing for her to ask him.
As keeper, I'm most interested in charm or persuade.
Base on both of those. I could try it though.
All right, you can.
I have a 20 in charm, so.
All right, so do charm with a bonus die.
All right. 47 on the first, and 97 on the second.
So she responds. She goes. I would love to help, but I've made a commitment, a professional commitment. I need to finish working this wedding reception, but I am intrigued. I would really love to help you out.
It's one camera. It's not even a whole roll of film on it. What are they paying you for this event?
Well, I'm just doing it as part of my regular salary. So, yeah, I'm only I'm doing this event for $3, whatever fairly mundane, probably lower end for $1928. Right?
Don't interrupt the wedding. Just let her do it after.
What do you? When do you think you could do it?
Well, I'm not scheduled to be done here until midnight.
That's fine.
All right. I'm going to reach in my pocket and shake her hand, but I have $1. I'll put $1 bill in her hand anyway.
Okay. And so she catches that and she goes, oh. So yes, sir. What was your name again?
Barnabas Aldwin, author.
Florence Bishop, photographer. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
I shake her hand. When should we contact you? Should we go down to that office we saw, that room with the photography on it, or?
Yeah, I have a dark room here in the hotel, but I can just meet you at midnight at the guest check-in, and then I'll take you to the dark room then.
Excellent. I'll see you then. It'll be myself and 2 companions. The one gentleman right over there and another man.
Fantastic. And then she sees you at the hello.
Looking forward to seeing you later. Thank you, and have a wonderful night.
Oh, thank you so much. How very exciting.
I'm so intrigued. This is going to be so much fun. It's like we are mystery solvers or something. Let's go up and get Thurston.
It's about 9:30 p.m. now.
Let's go up and get Thurston. Maybe we can go up to the. Oh, we can't go get the.
That's what I was going to say. I would love a drink.
There's got to be a speakeasy here somewhere in Providence that we can get something.
Thurston looks like.
I started drinking when I was 5 years old.
Thurston, you've made it down to the lobby area.
Oh, wonderful. Gentlemen, I decided not to wait.
We were just thinking. We have a date with the photography lady at midnight.
Ooh.
She's very busy. It's a wedding, people making horrible mistake. But we thought maybe if we could find a place in town, that serves coffee.
Oh, yes, I think there's a club, I believe, in this neck of the woods, in fact.
Let's go.
All right, so you guys are heading for the exit. I mean, you're right there in the lobby area. As you're heading for the exit, a uniformed officer steps up and says, "I'm sorry, we need to keep everyone in the hotel while we're conducting our investigation. I appreciate your understanding on this."
But we gave Inspector Drummond our testimony.
Yes, I thank you, and I appreciate it. If you could just return to your rooms, and I'm sure we'll have this all straightened out by morning.
But we need supplies.
Yes, I completely understand it. I'm sure it'll just have to wait till morning.
Maybe we could go to the, is there an in-house restaurant, perhaps?
There is an in-house restaurant. You ate dinner there earlier this evening.
Yeah, that place. The place that serves water.
Once we get back into the elevator, listen, we're three smart fellows. This is a hotel. You're telling me the busboys don't have their own little hustle going on for travelers?
Oh, I thought you were going to suggest that we find an alternative way to get out of the building.
Oh, well,
like the fire escape where they...
I'd kind of like to stay here and see what's going on.
I feel like we are all these conspirators working together.
Well, there is
quite exhilarating. You know,
all the action in town's happening here tonight.
You know, I bet the concierge knows.
Exactly.
Okay. You want to talk to the concierge? And so the gentleman is standing there. He goes, "Yes. How are you, gentlemen, this evening? Please, please forgive the hectic nature of this evening. What is it that we can do to help make your stay more comfortable?"
Well, you know, we were hoping to go out and have an enjoyable evening after the stress of this event. And we figured that you, the concierge, would know how three gentlemen, now that we are confined to this hotel,
And
how we might, how do they say, wet our whistles?
And then, you know, it's like a light bulb has turned on, and the concierge is like, "Yes, sir, I think we can make accommodations for you." And he does, on the counter, one hand does kind of slip out onto the counter.
Yes, Aldwin, you have a jacket on.
Can I slip him $1?
No, to put whatever it is he's going
I thought he put his hand out.
He puts his hand out onto the counter.
Oh, yeah, not a problem.
Yes, sir. Thank you. He doesn't even seem to... Well, how much? What do you give him?
$2.
$2. And Thurston, do you also supply?
Oh, I'll put in a 10.
Yes. And where shall you like to have room service delivered? And he slips that into his pocket.
Room
1434.
1434.
1434. It'll be there momentarily. Thank you, gentlemen.
A great day.
Very, very nice. Let's
This is
go.
turning out to be an actual adventure.
You're going to write a fantastic book about this. And we'll change Thurston's name to Protect the Innocent.
I'll happily back your book if it's good.
Thank you, sir.
I have never had such a good weekend in my whole life.
I mean, besides the poor unfortunate soul that passed, this is actually exciting.
Okay, so you guys head up to 1434. And it is a very well appointed room, as we said earlier. There is a writing desk in a certain corner. In one corner there's a large settee and a couple of armchairs. There's a very nice radio, console radio. It's very high end. And then there's a whole separate room which is has the bed, and then there's a whole other separate room that has the washroom. So you guys, I'm assuming, make yourselves at home in the living room portion. Barnabas, do you want to take advantage of that writing desk, or what do you guys want to do?
Yeah, I'll sit down at the writing desk and take out one of my journals and just start compiling a brief overview of what happened this evening, from the moment we met till now.
Okay.
What did they send us up?
So a plain bottle, but a unlabeled dark brown glass bottle, and as you uncork it and kind of take a sniff, you're like, oh, wow, that seems like to be brandy, and sure enough, you have some glassware was brought as well, and so you have a what feels like Thurston would know, a very finely aged bottle of brandy.
Mm, this is very good. It's like Metaxa in Greece. Very good.
Splendid.
Thurston, do you smoke cigars?
On occasion.
I think I have a couple.
So you guys are breaking out smokes. You've broken out the brandy, and do you enjoy the radio? Do you kind of turn on the radio?
Yeah, maybe we should turn on the radio.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, you've got some. I would assume some big band, going. And Barnabas, you're kind of starting to take some notes and kind of get into the zone at the writing desk there. Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so with Professor Darius and Thurston, you guys are going to be getting into your cups. Barnabas, you're getting into. You're also imbibing, but you're also kind of really getting into your zone. Am I getting in the gist of the setting?
Yeah, because it's late and we're waiting for midnight.
Right. Okay. I would allow all three of you then to make listen rolls, each with a penalty die, because you're distracted.
Oh, darn.
Listen
with penalty dice.
I passed. I got a 22 and then a 34, and my listen is 35.
I dropped both.
And then Thurston?
Failed on one, succeeded on the other.
But we'll take the fail on yours.
Yeah.
Okay, so Professor Darius, so you guys are all enjoying yourselves and doing your thing. Professor, the band music is playing. You're enjoying a pleasant conversation with Thurston, clearly about tonight's events and what lies in store. What could be on that. How's that photo going to come out, and what is it going to show? But you hear something that that your brain is unable to classify, and it's that mystery of like, what is that it kind of takes over your conscious thought, to the point where you missed. Thurston was saying something and you didn't even hear it, because your mind is no longer focused on the conversation. But you heard some kind of sound that it almost had like a sifting, like a grainy sifting kind of sound, possibly is the closest that you can get to.
What is that sound? Is it static on the radio, or?
Yeah, no. Yeah,
what is that noise?
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I stopped listening. Do you hear that noise?
What are you going on about over there?
It's like a hiss, like air leaking from a balloon, or where is it coming from? I reach over and I turn off the radio. Does it
Okay.
stop?
No, you can hear it better now. And I'll let Thurston and Barnabas each make a listen roll, standard listen roll.
20. It's out of 50, so that's a hard.
I failed that. I'm still engrossed in my work over here.
Yeah, when the radio goes off, you can, Thurston, you can hear it better. And actually, it sounds, with the hard success, you feel like it's coming from near the corner of the room, near the writing desk.
This sound doesn't remind me of the sound I heard in the commotion as Dr. Bronson was getting.
It does, and having that epiphany is a sand roll.
Oh dear.
Barnabas, is there something over by you? It sounds like a hissing sound.
I don't know what you guys are going on about.
You were successful on your roll?
Yes.
So you'll lose 0 sand. Barnabas, Professor Darius said, is something going on over there? And what actions do you take?
I'll stop writing and I'll just turn it around and look like what?
Okay. Yeah, you pull your chair out and you look down and you see this weird, like a grainy mustard kind of blob on the floor. And this pseudopod kind of rears up and it lunges forward to try and slap at your leg. You may make a dodge roll while I make a brawling roll.
Jesus Christ.
98. I think that's a critical fail.
Dear God.
You guys can't see it because it's on the floor and it's behind stuff, and only Barnabas just now noticed it as it was down there, and it like.
Well, we see him jump.
Yeah, you see him jumping up out of his chair and practically jumping up out of his skin. And so give me a dexterity roll, Barnabas.
93.
So Barnabas, he gets up out of his chair and he goes, "What the?" And he makes this expletive, shout, and he leaps almost like a cat, kind of getting frightened, and his leap, his involuntary reflex of his muscles propel his body off to the side, and he lands hard on the ground, and so he lands prone on the ground. And at that moment, and the desk chair was knocked over, and at that moment you see this grainy sandy mustard blob kind of starting to, the way it moves is it throws a pseudopod and it'll like anchor to the ground, and then the rest of the mass kind of tumbles and folds its way up to its pseudopod, and then another one reaches out and smacks on the ground, and then it tumbles and folds towards it. So you see this thing crawling across the floor. All three of you may make sand rolls as you see this thing.
All right.
Pass.
What's with the 90s? 93.
93. All right, so I heard a pass.
Pass.
I heard a fail. And
Yeah.
another pass. So if you were successful, lose 1 sand. If you failed, roll a d10.
Okay.
Ouch. 8.
All right. You lose 8 sand. Give me an idea roll, Barnabas.
100.
100?
Yes.
All right.
That's good.
This is actually what you wanted. So your brain is so disjointed. It sees this thing, but it refuses to categorize it, right? And you have your subconscious has protected you from suffering any extra damage. So we're going to put a pin in it there as you guys see this weird thing that tried to reach out and touch Barnabas's leg.
Outstanding.
Oh my god.
So ends chapter 1.
As the shriek of Barnabas is echoed throughout the hall.
God.
Our players included Stuart Lipley, Jason Melnichuk, and myself, with John Hook as the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production. In order to create a richer listener experience, we provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the show are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 to a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch that bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.